Hello friends, welcome back to Raju Notes channel. We'll quickly do the current affairs updates from 1st of June to 15th of June. What has happened and how is it going to affect the entire world or especially India. And these updates are quite helpful for you for your examinations, especially competitive ones. Let's quickly go over this fortnight's updates. During the recent BRICS summit or a BRICS meet which had happened, it was very interesting to see Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi saying that China stands with India and will support it as it fights the second wave of COVID-19. And along with China, all other members also voiced their support for India. Takeaway point: China, despite being the originator of this, is now finding ways and means to either name this wave as country wave, other country wave, or trying to take off the world's attention from its own sins and giving it on to others. So that's what has to be kept in mind. The BRICS summit happened, and this was a point of it. It was attended and rather chaired by the External Affairs Minister, Mr. S. Jaishankar from India. The Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov on Tuesday said that there will be no change in implementation of the contract of supplying S-400 air defense missile system to India, and he said that this contract will go ahead and will not affect any other kind of a pressure on it. Takeaway point: US is very closely monitoring this situation. It is likely that you might even see US putting some sanctions on India once this deal goes through. But as of now, India has been playing well, not to agitate US also, and at the same time not to cancel the deal. We will have to wait and watch what is the outcome of this deal. We are likely to get the first batch of S-400s by this year end. A news coming in from Balochistan area that 4 Pakistani paramilitary personnel were killed in the areas of Balochistan province, and he says that the news says that they were ambushed when they were doing patrolling. Takeaway point: please understand that Balochistan forms a major part of the Pakistan landmass. It is the place where the controversial CPAC project is going on, and the resistance movement in Balochistan is taking center stage day by day. So I think India should utilize this very diplomatically. It should push in its support wherever possible, and the best policy which I feel is that the Pakistan should be broken into 4 pieces, and Balochistan to be declared as an independent country, and if need be, I think we should go ahead in that kind of a manner. The recent NATO deployments by, say, US, the US has been flying its strategic bombers and has been deploying its warships frequently with the Russian border, has led to Russia to form about 20 new military units in the West, and this is certainly a cause of concern. Takeaway point: this somehow the Russia and US relations seem to be at a calm stage till the time Donald Trump was the president. Now this is slowly picking up the momentum, and let's see where it goes off. India plans to procure 1,700 future-ready combat vehicles to replace the T-72M Ajay tanks. Well, request for information called as RFI has been published by the Ministry of Defence, and as of 1st of June, and it is likely to procure the 1,700 combat vehicles, or which is also called as future-ready combat vehicles, called as FRCVs, and intended to replace this age-old T-72s. And takeaway point: now India is also giving out tenders for its own companies in India, opening it to the private sectors. This point to be linked with your Atmanirbhar policy of the defense. The center has barred security officials from publishing information of some kind of a confidential nature after retirement. Well, it has been in fashion that after people tenanting appointments in security agencies, they either publish their autobiographies or publish some sensational information so that their sales of books can be increased. So government has banned such kind of things to be done. I have made a detailed video on this. You can kindly check it out in my playlist, and you can get more information as to which all are the agencies which are affected by this ban. The US has completed about 30 to 40% of the troop withdrawal from Afghanistan, and this happened till 31st of May. And the US has also offered 6 facilities to the Afghan Ministry of Defense. And well, you should recollect that Joe Biden in April had announced that the country would withdraw all its troops from Afghanistan by September 11th this year. Takeaway point in this: the vacuum which will now be created in Afghanistan has to be filled up. Pakistan is the forefront in this. He will take into it, and he will again jump back into the geopolitical importance in this area. We will further keep updating on this, but this is a point which will be an important point for your examinations, because by the time you come to your examination, the situation in Afghanistan is likely to take a center stage. Malaysia has issued a protest against the intrusion of 16 Chinese military aircrafts into its space. The Malaysian foreign minister said that he had already summoned the Chinese envoy and explained that this breach of Malaysian airspace is against its sovereignty and it will not be taken well. Takeaway point: till last update which we made about 15 days back, there we saw the Chinese aircraft intruding into the Taiwanese airspace and almost onto the verge of firing onto each other. Now it is onto the Malaysian airspace. So please understand the expansion theory of China, and you can link this point to China's overall dominance which is trying to show in the South China Sea policy. China's artificial sun called there is an experiment going on in China which is called as EAST. Please understand this term called as EAST. EAST is an acronym for the Experimental Advanced Superconducting Tokamak. Well, this is also called as an artificial sun. China has achieved a great success of about it was successful in reaching a temperature of about 120 million Celsius for about I must say 1.5 odd minute, that is 101 seconds, and 160 million Celsius for 20 seconds. So and it broke this previous record of maintaining this plasma temperature for at about 100 million Celsius for about 100 seconds. Well, there is some kind of plasma which they have maintained, and they were able to raise the temperature of this plasma to as high as 160 million Celsius, and that too for 20 seconds. So it is almost like the heat what is rather generated from the sun. Well, this experimental fusion reactor replicates the nuclear fusion process that occurs in sun and stars. So it is to be noted. Importance takeaway point: well, could be the next energy source, or it could be next destructive source on the planet. And who is having it? Yes, it is China. Next on the point is government clears 43,000 crore projects to build 6 high-tech submarines in India. Well, Defense Ministry has cleared a project to domestically build the 6 conventional submarines equipped with about state-of-art technology and with about 43,000 crores. Defense Minister Mr. Rajnath Singh said that these projects approval by the Defense Acquisition Council, that is DAC, was a landmark approval. Takeaway point: again, point to be added with the Atmanirbhar in the defense sector. And all these points, again, Atmanirbhar in defense sector will again be a very important point for your examination. Keep all these points in your mind when you are writing this part in your exam. my point, which was there discussed in the last update, was regarding the Twitter. I kept on, first let's go with the news. Nigeria has indefinitely suspended Twitter from its country, and it is seen as a very big step by a small country against a large media giant. Well, I have personally loved this step what Nigeria has taken, because if you remember, in last time we discussed that now it is considered that the world's strongest person is the United States president, and if a company like Twitter can delete and deactivate an account of a president of United States, that means one should understand the kind of the strength these social media giants hold. So holding a country to ransom is what is their new policy. So takeaway, Nigeria has done it very well, and it has to teach some lessons to the social media giants, and it has got a very big message for India. And the question can be figured that Nigeria has recently banned Twitter, and with so and so cases. Well, rather this happened when the Twitter removed a post from its president Muhammadu Buhari, and that is why they banned it. But the question point for us is that does India have to look into any of such options with the recent controversies going on with the Twitter in India? This can be a question. We have to wait and watch. Rather, an update for this is coming very soon. In the same line, Facebook has now suspended US president's account for 2 years over the capital rights. See, this is exactly what I was trying to tell, that social media giants are now trying to meddle into any country's political system. And so this is also, Facebook also had faced some backlash in India because of its policies with WhatsApp and other thing. Though it has not changed much, but we have to be on a lookout. And do we have to take that policy what Nigeria has followed of banning them? Well, it's a very good thing in pipeline. We should wait and watch. But I'll just quickly go over to this, that with such things happening, the government of India gave one last chance to Twitter in this fortnight, and it says the Twitter has to immediately comply with our India's new IT rule, and wherein if the Twitter refuses it, then it will face consequences as per the IT Act and other penal laws of India. Well, India wanted one of the compliance officer to be posted in India, and he should be able to answer all the questions by the government of India. Well, when will this come? Though Twitter has said issued a statement that it will comply with all these things, and my feeling also, takeaway point, the social media should follow the law of the land, and they cannot follow a common template across the world. Well, a point which I just skipped was this: Al Qaeda's chief Al Zawahiri, as per the news, is likely to be alive and somewhere in Afghan-Pakistan border, as per the new UN report. And the recent audio clip which he released, wherein he was sounding very frail. And takeaway point: the time when the UN has released this is the time when Afghanistan is going through a turmoil, and the US troops are withdrawing, and Pakistan is trying its influence onto Afghanistan and is trying to take the center stage. So this point has to be linked with those points. Well, G7's summit had just terminated yesterday, and in that our health minister, Mr. Harshvardhan, opposed the vaccine passport policy, saying that it is hugely discriminatory and disadvantageous to the developing countries. Well, you should understand that the foreign countries are rather kind of only allowing Covishield as their recognized vaccination. That is to say that if you have to go to US now, only a Covishield vaccinated person is being given some kind of a visa or travel permit, whereas other person who has taken any other vaccine like Covaxin is not allowed to give. So this was strongly refuted, and it was opposed. by the Indian government. Well, takeaway point, please understand the reason why such thing is happening. India, despite being the pharmacy of the world, India is creating the maximum amount of vaccines for the world, yet Indian vaccine, Indian built vaccine is not being allowed to push ahead. For example, all kinds of the test results have shown that the Covaxin efficiency is more and is more suitable for fighting against a varied type of mutant COVID viruses. Yet Covaxin is not been given the recognition, and WHO is asking for constant details and data regarding this. Please understand, huge pharma companies of the developed countries are putting in their blood and sweat to make it a profitable business for them. So India should stand up, and rather it was a good step that Indian government said, irrespective whether Covaxin has been accepted in the worldwide or not, India will continue with its vaccination policy and will not take down Covaxin. So I think that is a very good step taken by India. The ISRO has developed 3 types of ventilators to fight COVID-19, and this 3 ventilators were named as Prana, Vayu and Swasta. Rather, these 3 ventilators, what ISRO has developed, ISRO has expressed to transfer these technologies to any kind of industries or startups, and that are authorized, or they have a valid manufacturing record in the medical or electronic equipment manufacturing. Well, this is a good step. If some technology is available and if it can be put to the mankind, it is a very good thing. So takeaway point, ISRO, first point, already made India proud with its rocket and satellites. Second point is allowing the private players to launch, helping the smaller companies to launch their own satellites. Third, venturing it out into life-saving things like Prana, Vayu and Swasta. Hong Kong is now testing to link China's digital yuan. Remember, I had made a separate video on China's digital yuan payments, and now Hong Kong is testing the link to use this digital yuan. The authorities intend to provide a convenient means of cross-boundary payments for both domestic and mainland residents. Well, takeaway point, China is as such trying to do this digital currency into the circulation to beat the currencies like Bitcoin and other thing in a longer run, but is trying to fool the world saying that it has got no intentions of doing it, which is absolutely false. Then China is now trying to implement this in Hong Kong as a policy of brute force. Well, it will be implemented, but this is also its testing ground, that once the e-yuan, then it will slowly implement, takeaway point, it will slowly implement the e-yuan to be used in places like Sri Lankan Hamantuta port, then in Pakistan. Slowly you will find like a kind of a Paytm which is there working in all these other countries on Chinese currency. So China is doing a big way. India has been elected for the UN Economic and Social Council. This is a 54-member council and one of the 6 main organs of the United Nations. India has been elected for the term from 2022 to 2024. Well, after the Donald Trump administration had banned the TikTok and WeChat, the present US government plans to revoke this order, and China obviously seems to be very happy about this and is talking as a victory. Underlying score point, takeaway point is that please understand that diplomatic channels, backdoor channels are always working irrespective of if a country is your dead enemy or no enemy. There is a deep state, which I keep telling, in every country. That deep state is alive and it doesn't change with a change of the elected government. A point from Afghanistan, with the US troops moving out totally, now Taliban has rather told Turkey that the Turkey should withdraw its own troops from Afghanistan. Well, this is a very catch-22 situation. If you notice, Turkey as of now has offered to guard and run the Kabul airport after the US has withdrawn, and as of now Turkey has about 500 soldiers fighting in Afghanistan. So as Turkey is trying to become a beacon of the Islamic countries in the world, and the fight will be now, if Turkey continues, Taliban will find it difficult because of the religious angle, and moreover the Taliban's say would be a little bit in a question mark if the factor of Islam comes in. So again, a wait and watch. The takeaway point from this, add this point with the overall US withdrawal and the effects of the country, because Turkey, Pakistan are very closely linked, and Pakistan will do anything to gain its upper hand in Afghanistan. Remember this point. Meanwhile, India and Kuwait have signed a pact to protect the rights of Indian domestic workers. A memorandum of agreement has been signed, wherein it ensures the rights and obligations of employers and workers. Well, this gives some kind of a job stability to Indian people who are working in Kuwait. A good thing, and it will help in the employment part. The Coal India has allowed for the first time that the buyers can now buy coal from the miners directly through an e-auction. It is a first of a kind of a development. It is thereby promoting total transparency in the coal sector. Coal sector is a very big sector wherein a lot of scams have happened, and a lot of people who are in powerful position made a lot of money in this because of the opaque transactions happening. So if this is happening in one of the state-run sectors, then it is a very welcome step, and I think we should appreciate this part. The recent G7 summit happened, and French President Emmanuel Macron had urged the certain G7 economies basically to US to say to lift the ban on export of ingredients needed to produce the COVID-19 vaccine. Well, if you recollect, Serum Institute of India had said that US had banned some kind of products for India, which are very much essential for preparation of this vaccine, and Macron stepping up for India. Under takeaway point, the France and Indian defense deal and the future defense deals are the point wherein both the countries would not want their relations to go bad. See this in that relation. Okay, government has now issued a latest advisory saying that all ministries will now curb unavoidable and wasteful expenditure and cut the expenditure by about 20%. This will include the travel, overtime, and the rent what is paid for the ministries. So okay, a good step, but let's see how much does it really work. India is set to spend about $7 billion to boost the ethanol production, and well, if this is to slowly reduce our dependency on the Gulf oil, Arab oil, and India has already decided to go ahead with this 80-20 mixture, wherein the 20% of ethanol blended fuel will be added to the normal petrol, diesel, and such things. So this will not only two takeaways. One is your the green earth, second, reduction in your prices, and third, dependency on the Arab countries reduces, and fourth, we are a little bit immune to the fluctuations of the oil prices in the world oil market. The Defense Ministry has approved a new policy to declassify war histories and records of other military operations in the time-bound manner. Well, as of now, the declassification was allowed after 25 years of operations. Like if Operation Vijay happened, Operation Parakram happened, you could declassify the details after 25 years. But they have, so that I think that is in change. I really don't know the correct time period as to what has been approved now, but there is something wherein now these policy records can be available. Takeaway point: the details of 1962 war, then the details of the Prime Minister Lal Bahadur Shastri's plans, I think that case are something to do with this. It's my take. It's totally my take. During this recent Guardians of the Wall operation in Gaza, the Israeli Defense Forces also employed swarms of unarmed systems to strike inside the Gaza, and they have where the swarms could seek and destroy the hidden targets. This was a combat capability which was developed by the IDF and was demonstrated for the first time in an actual ops. So this might be the future, wherein you are not bombing everything. You just spread out about 1,000 drones, small size hand palm held drones with one explosive capable enough to kill one person, and you let them loose. They go, they keep loitering on the area. The moment they identify a target, they just go and hit itself or self-destruct near the target, thereby accomplishing their mission. So it could be a new way of war fighting. I think it's a technology to be aware of. The Sri Lanka and India have discussed defense security cooperation. The Sri Lankan Defense Security General Mr. Kamal Guranate had held talks with Indian High Commissioner Gopal Bagle on the ways to further enhance the defense and security cooperation between the two countries. And Mr. Gurnathe had expressed his views on matters of defense cooperation and recalled the long existing bilateral ties between the two countries. Well, takeaway point: India needs to tread very carefully with the Sri Lanka because of its already China has made inroads into Sri Lanka, and we know that the northernmost part of the Sri Lanka, or sorry, I'm sorry, the southernmost part of the Sri Lanka and the southwestern part of the Colombo is already under China and with its Chinese passport. So India has to maintain a very close eye on with the Sri Lanka and has to rather find ways and means to negate this problem in future. Again, a point from Afghanistan: about 111 Afghanistan militants were killed and 79 others wounded in 24 hours in the country in last about 15 days. And the country's defense forces have also foiled about 12 explosive devices in different areas. So what adds up now is, with the US moving out, lot of pressure on Taliban now, and lot of pressure on the Afghanistan government to show their dominance. So Afghanistan has been land of might and force all the time. So this bloodbath will continue, and how does India, China and Pakistan play in this Afghanistan will become a very important issue in near future. Well, at the termination of the G7 summit, the Italian Prime Minister had said that the G7 summit had primarily, or rather was dominated by the China's talk. It says that the talk on China as to how, no doubt China was a great economy, but the way China has been using the COVID against the world, and also the Uyghur Muslims issue for the first time has been raised in G7. The using of forced labor camps, etc., which were never spoken of in the open forum, have been discussed. China issued a strong statement in UN that they will face, the G7 will face repercussions if they discuss these things. So please understand is this with the China. A very good news and a recent news coming in that the Indian UN mission in South Sudan, which is called as, I think, UN MISS, said that about 135 Indian peacekeepers have received UN medal for their outstanding services in Sudan, and about 103 Sri Lankans were given this. Takeaway point: India has been the largest provider, one of the largest provider of the forces for UN. Yet India has got no seat in UN and has got no say in any kind of veto power. So, question: is UN a valid organization in the present world, and should we continue to supply, supply is a very wrong term, I'm sorry, should we even send our troops to UN countries for this peacekeeping? A debatable point, but can be a part of your question on a larger, broader scale. And my final point, Pakistan's foreign minister Shah Mehmood Qureshi said that Pakistan should not be held responsible for any negative outcome of the Afghan peace process, as it is a shared obligation of all stakeholders. Pakistan says that it does not support Taliban, and he is making this statement ahead of visit by Afghan President Ashraf Ghani to US. See, Pakistan will not take away points, and Pakistan will never stay on its any kind of word, and it has got nothing to do with religion. It is a failed state. It is with a begging bowl. It will do anything, and it will change its master for anyone who can feed him a bone. So Pakistan's foreign minister, we have heard a lot of statements from him, and we know he has been putting his foot, not one but 10 foots in his own mouth all the time. But notwithstanding that, please understand, now it is trying to convey a point to US that we are not responsible if something happens, but in actuals it will be Pakistan who will be responsible for many things happening in Afghanistan. Well, that's all, friends, I have for this update from 1st June to 15th June. Hope you like them. If you like them, kindly share it with your friends or people who are taking this examination, and help me by pressing that like button. Thank you so much. Stay home, stay safe.